Hi, my name is Deanna Beckett, character coach and author of Cultivating Your Character, and I've been asked to present some basics on survival skills. And I know one of my skills is stocking a pantry. And of course, my college kids are at home, so they're going to be sneaking into the pantry and getting things, so bear with us. And I'm going to go through some step-by-steps of, the simplicity of it and also the whys behind it. So you get to look at our messy looking pantry while we go through this. So some of the basics is, why stock a pantry? Well, when you're in a food mood, like when I get in a mood for no-bake chocolate cookies, I go right in here. I've got the oatmeal, I've got some coconut, I've got coconut oil or butter, and a little dab of whatever milk we have. Voila, I can get my chocolate fix and nut fix and not have to go to the store. In any other baking, I came from a kind of a baking background, and we liked to pull together cakes, cookies, whatever the mood struck, and we had baking goods. Now, on the other side of my kitchen is the spice rack, so I'm not showing that right now, but that can be in addition to either a basic pantry or your spice rack. What other reasons to have a stocked pantry? Times such as this. Now, we are getting ready for a snowstorm tonight as well. So when you have a stocked pantry, or at least a moderately stocked pantry, you don't have to go out and mad dash after work when the snow is starting and stand in the grocery store lines like we've seen in the mad rush for the pandemic. And you're able to stay at home and go, okay, I've got enough food for probably 3 to 7 days. Many people can't say that. But when you prepare and have enough things stocked up, you're going to have that. Another one is the toilet paper pandemic. And anytime you go to the store, grab a thing of toilet paper and set aside a space in your closet to have enough toilet paper to last you a couple months. Then you're not panicking and panic buying, basically. So let's take a look at the pantry. Where are we going to begin? So some basic foods, that's going through your menu of what you eat a lot. So I'll ask my kids, because they're standing right here, what were our basics that we ate?
Noodles.
New pasta, yeah. Pasta, tomato sauce, different kind of sauces. What else?
Canned food.
Canned food. Mom used to can the food, yep, canned tomatoes. And what are some other menu items that you guys kind of are go-tos?
Chips.
Chips. Of course, you can see some chips in there. What others are some go-tos? What are some go-to menus that we go to? I'll get your feedback. Some go-to foods that we make. Pasta was one of them that we talked about.
I mean, lasagna is like...
Lasagna is a staple, of course, another pasta.
Tater tot hot dish.
Tater tot hot dish, yep, that requires a freezer item.
A bunch of other casseroles.
Yep, different casseroles, and then we have lots of leftovers. So when we look into a pantry, yours may not look the same as ours, but we do like to do a lot of salsas and chips. And of course, things with chips, I don't encourage you to eat a lot of chips because they are processed, but we do have them. And then you can see on the top shelf, we have a lot of pastas tucked back there. So we have the specials with $1 pastas. So you can see that tons of pastas tucked back in there, and they don't take up a heck of a lot of room, and then you can double stack them. One of the things I was going to mention in the next little point that I'm going to bring up is the type of pantry that you have. Now, this is a shelved pantry. The one we had in our last house was actually a drawered pantry, which made it so ideal for cans and bottles and jars and smaller items. Then we weren't, excuse me, got to decline a phone call. And then we weren't stacking and, making it look so messy. You put all the cans in one drawer, you pull the drawer out, you can see everything. So if you've got one of those, find yourself blessed. So things up there. Now you can obviously see, I'm going to get into this in a little bit, the containers that we used. I had a red kitchen. We kind of have a red kitchen now. And going with, I use classic Tupperware, and you can get, any other cheaper kind of plasticware, but kinds that stack, and how easy it is to be able to pull all of these things all together into one space instead of having it, deep and wide. So it's nice to have those stackable containers. But back to foods. Containers contain pasta, so we've got other pastas aside from boxed pastas. And then the next shelf down, of course, a lot of the cans, the tomatoes, the tomato paste, the pastas, the salsas, and then some other little things. Got some kitty treats in here as well. She'll be thrilled. I added this cool little shelf in here just to make that different. If you've got the drawer, like I said, it makes it much easier. But then I'm able to tuck back, the pickles, the honey, the peanut butter, and some basics on foods as well. Things to stock up on when you're at the store is your baked beans, your canned beans. We've got evaporated milk, but shelf-stable milk is huge right now. So if you do regular milk or almond milk, coconut milk, they do have it in shelf-stable. Rice milk is what I had years and years ago. So that's tucked in the back here, if you can see it. And then, of course, there's candy. That comes from the kids. And then when you see Campbell's soup mixes, sorry, I've got my door in the way. Campbell's soups, when they go on sale, they stack nicely on top of each other and can be stored for a long time. So you've got the makings for your casseroles. Chicken broth is a great thing to have as a basic staple. Chicken broth, vegetable broth, beef broth, whatever the case may be, a great way to do that. We're making a roast tonight, and I can take the broth from that roast, and you can add water to it, but I use another freezer container and then pop it right in the freezer, and that keeps broth for however long you want. Another recommendation is having 2 freezers. Then the third shelf down, let's see if I can see it. I have to make some adjustments. Bear with me. Third shelf down, we actually, now that we've got college kids at home, we designed shelves for ourselves. And I made a switch in a lot of my foods that I purchase and eat. So I actually designated a shelf for myself, and I'll show that in the bottom. So this shelf is just a little extra overflow. You can get, even at Walmart, you can get cases of your canned items. My daughter has a bunch of her items, so that's separate. So we can actually go in here and see what we're doing, see what we can see. Tomato sauce is another great staple. They come in these cool shelf-stable containers, and they stack a little better. I think they're a little easier on the environment because they're paper instead of the tin cans. And then again, all of the containers to stack and store. So one more shelf down, bear with me, is the bottom shelf. Let's see if I can tip it far enough. The bottom shelf is, kitty food, water containers, some extra big containers for like beans. So I did a lot of dry beans. So these big food-worthy buckets are great for dry beans. So you can see on my shelf, I've got extra storage behind there with some overflow. But my different flours that I have, now I don't have these in containers. See, I need to get on my my task list of getting my containers done. But I've got stacks of dry beans in here, the smaller versions, and more canned beans and different grains, different seeds that I have in different containers. So you can see how stackable and easy it is, rather than bags and boxes and all those things that the stores put them in. And sometimes they don't stack well in our pantries. So then from there, let's see my notes here. Yeah, you're able to eat all the time. One of the reasons I said, where do we begin? Well, you're able to just go in here and go, okay, what can I grab with it? And we usually get a half a beef and buy chicken in bulk and have that in the freezer. And you can go, okay, I've got chicken there. I've got a can of cream of whatever soup and pasta. So we can combine those 3. Voila, we've got a dish and add a vegetable, and you're ready to go. Some of the items that I have that I use to prepare my pantry, I've already mentioned the containers, the stackable containers, the Tupperwares, the plastics. But having those ready or prepared and not really measured, but having them set aside for those particular foods is really important. And even using a label maker and labeling them. I think it's more my spice rack that I have my labels on my containers. But things like, lasagna fits great. You can see the crinkled in there. The lasagna fits great in these skinny ones. And cereals and rices fit well in this. When I get a box of oatmeal, I will actually open the oatmeal box and dump it in. When we get back to being able to buy in bulk again, this is perfect for bulk buying because it's cheaper per ounce. But oatmeal's in these kind of containers with the lids, so you can pour it right in. These other little ones, these skinny, I don't even know what these are called, the skinny ones, are where my smaller grains, so this is my barley for soups and other different rices, different wild rice usually comes in a smaller container, so I've got it in a short stackable one. But it's important to have it organized so that you can see what you got and it's not getting old, or if you live in a humid climate, it's not getting moist and flat. And if you live in a dry climate, sometimes we get bugs in there, so we don't want to have that. Having sealable containers is really important. Let's see, the last part is, of course, bulk purchasing. When you do that, sometimes what Whole Foods stores, some of our basic grocery stores here have bulk areas with their nuts and their grains. Trying to think of the other ones, different seeds. But when you have your containers ready and labeled even, you're able to just take those containers to the store and fill them up with their big pull handle and fill it up. And if you and before you put the food in the bulk container, make sure you tare it, so you weigh it, and so it's set for how much each container weighs, so that you can just go in, fill it, take it, and you've already got the tare written on it or with a sticker, and it makes it simple. So this is for purchasing from the store, because that's what we've done for years and years. Of course, now we've got the simplicity of Amazon Prime, purchasing even toilet paper. My sister does that, and she lives out on a farm ranch, and it makes it just simple. She doesn't have to take time and load that stuff and have it hauled. So if you are a Amazon Prime orderer, that's even better. And you can order in 25-pound bags. When I used to order my grains and my oatmeals, trying to think of the other big bulk things, but we would get these big 25, 50-pound bags of our food and divide it up into these containers. So that's why I have a lot of containers, even though we have a small pantry now because we've moved into a smaller home. So hopefully that helps you, encouraging you to bulk purchase and to prepare in advance. So once this craziness is done, or even as this craziness is, as you're going to the grocery store, look at where you can grab maybe one or two extra, not a ton, but one or two extra, maybe cans of goods that you usually buy, if it's beans or peas or whatever it is, and then just start slowly building your pantry so that you can get prepared. One of the things that I read about pantry building and bulk purchasing or preparedness is sometimes it's generational. My husband is at the tail end of the boomers. I'm a Gen Xer, and I've read that a lot of millennials and Gen Zers are kind of last minute fly by the seat and just grab as they go from the grocery store. And as we're walking through this pandemic, we've got to remember to think about, what the level of our grocery stores have been at, where they are right now, and how they are going to be in the future. And if you can, try to locally source. A lot of people are running out of chicken, eggs, beef, and I find ourselves very blessed because we have bought a half a beef for the past 10 years, and we've also buy chicken in bulk, and we have that local source of eggs, same place we would get our beef. So I encourage you to look for, find, local farms, ranches. Consider growing your own, and using those skills that you may have learned from a parent or a grandparent, and get back into that old-fashioned way. Another old-fashioned way is, of course, gardening. My daughter was mentioning the canned goods. We used to do a lot of salsas, tomatoes, tomato sauces, pretty much a lot of tomato-based stuff. And I've moved away from those things for health reasons, but those are some great starts on canning. But I'm sure someone else will do another presentation on canning. So thanks for joining me. Thanks for working with our stumbles in our not so pretty pantry, but that's okay. You know, we've got to be real and understand that we're not all at the same level, but you know, start where you are and build where you can. Have a great day.